Alright, this is a second trial for the lit chat. So let's introduce ourselves.
I'm Austin.
I'm Christina.
And I'm Ethan. Alright. Let me start off with the opening question. So, how does All Quiet on the Western Front depict the experiences of being a soldier during the First World War?
Can you repeat the question? You kind of have an echo.
Oh, okay. How does All Quiet on the Western Front depict experiences of being a soldier during the First World War?
I think it shows like the stages of like trauma they go through. Like for example, like Paul, he at the end of the book, he realizes his enemies are like they're not just like what's it called targets. They're just like human, just like them.
Yeah.
He realizes that soldiers that are fighting for the other side also human beings just like him, regular people. Depict the experience of soldiers.
Like, do you guys also think, like, if you guys were thrown into the battlefront, how would you guys feel, like, realizing that you killed someone that, like, basically was human too? How would you guys feel? Like, envision yourself being inside of Paul's shoes, basically.
If I would be inside of Paul's shoes, I would probably already die in the beginning of the book.
Yeah, but like, just like imagine that, like, you know, all the chances you didn't die at all, like you're just still alive, like. And you actually managed to go home.
Post-traumatic syndrome. I would definitely have post-traumatic syndrome. And how do you call them? People that have been at war in Lost Generation.
Lost Generation? Like, are you trying to
like a lot of them a lot of soldiers who survived the war because they suffered from trauma. A lot of them actually just committed suicides.
Yeah. And they also, some of them have gone to like asylums because like they're mentally like
hospitals.
Yeah, they're like this bunch of stuff. They're crippled not only by like physically but like mentally. They're also like crippled too. All right, you guys want to ask the next question?
Yeah. What is the difference between Paul and his peers and other older soldiers?
Well, obviously, there are some older people that have like different rankings. I want to mention Hemostos. Like, he was what, one of the commanders, I believe. Commanders.
Was the commander? He was training
Yeah,
Paul
he was training Paul and his friends, and he was originally from like what was it again?
Originally it was a postman.
A postman, yes. It was originally a postman, and he was like more experienced on the battlefield, and since he's older, he basically commands them. And I would say that he doesn't understand what the war front is, basically. Sorry, I'm like going off places.
And Paul and his friends, they felt like, I guess they felt kind of betrayed or like used by him. By the commanders.
Like what? Like Hemosauce or other older people or peers.
What about not Hemosauce? He's kind of an example. What about other people? How do you call this a group of specific group of soldiers? Like mini group of soldiers. I already forgot.
Infantry.
Do you remember?
Army, like so
small. No, army is the entire term.
I mean, sorry. Something smaller.
Yeah. Like group of soldiers that included Paul and his friends, and it also included the commander Cat, and he was more a positive example. What's the difference between him, for example, and Paul and his friends?
Obviously, Cat has like more at home than Paul and them. Like, he has like a wife and a kid, I believe. Oh no, his kid died. I forgot. His kid died at the age of 10. Or like at the age of 9, but they were gonna celebrate his 9th birthday basically. and like other older soldiers, like they all have like families too. Like how
It was
yeah, like a majority of like soldiers that are like older than like 19 or like 25 and up, basically they had like families prepared at home, and probably
majority of soldiers were about Paul's age.
about Paul's age. Oh, majority of them are Paul's age.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course, because like what, they were all influenced by propaganda and everything. Like, oh yeah, go onto the battlefield. Fight for your country.
I feel like
Just easier to manipulate the 19-year-olds.
It is more easier, and
And
difference between
like Cat and Commander Cat actually had goals. Like in order to goals they were planning their life after the war. They knew what was waiting for them, like their wife, their kids, their jobs, and Paul and his friends, on the other hand, just graduated high school and they didn't have anything except their parents waiting for them. That's it.
That's like kind of sad, because like how Paul had to like explain whose death was it to his mother, about like being quiet. You recall, Christina?
What again?
Remember Kemerch? He died because like what?
Kemerich?
Yeah, Kemerich. Or
Kemerich, yeah.
Kemerich.
What about?
He, like
Kemerich.
all he had was basically his mother, and like his mother, like what Paul had to explain everything about Kemerich's death to his mother, like explaining like like wasn't painful at all.
What about it?
I was bringing it back to how you said that they had nothing else but like basically their family members and possibly a girlfriend. And like it's kind of sad. You're just throwing in people that like had potential into a society.
It's like I don't remember. I think it was in chapter 2, but Maria Remarque basically described that when a soldier of age 30, 40 or older was dying, it's like their lives were like cut it basically in the middle of something. And when a 19-year-old soldier died, it's like their life didn't even start completely.
Exactly.
It's like the war like wiped them out. Nobody will remember them that much as 40-year-olds, except their parents, obviously.
Austin, you want to ask the next question?
Yeah. Do we tend to idolize soldiers as fearless warriors, or do we ever take a moment and think about how it feels to be in the battlefield?
Honestly, like, you could take this as in many perspectives. Like, as a kid's perspective, you could think of them like, oh man, they're like fighting for our country. Like, as a young boy, usually young boys, they like think like, man, they're like amazing, fearless warriors. And there's like a widespread of propaganda inside of civilizations. So
Are we talking about the people who are not on battlefield?
yeah, not on the battlefield, not on the battlefield, not on the
Yeah.
battlefield. And like what? Sorry, were you gonna say something?
Me, for their country, they obviously think like, oh, this is good for like the men. Oh, they're gonna like defend our country and all that. And then there's gonna be others who are like, oh, they're like playing out evil.
Yeah, and like what? They didn't even know what's happening to them that's going on to the battlefield. They didn't even know like some of them would even think that like, man, they're just out there to have fun. Like some, I don't know. It just varies.
Thinking that they're having fun.
No, oh, sorry. No, definitely not fun. Sorry, not
They
fun.
don't
Definitely not fun.
They
Definitely
don't
not
think
fun.
about the trauma that they definitely get. When people that are not directly involved into the war think about the war, they don't think, for example, they don't think of soldiers' actual experiences during it. Like, what was his name? Paul's classmate. Let me find it.
Sorry, I meant to. I'm like say like soldiers think it was one.
Joseph Ben, do you remember it's like a type of cheerful chap he's described like? He didn't want to go to war, and but his parents like technically forced him, and he died because he got shot
In the
in the
eye.
eyes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wait, was that the one
And-
that they considered as a coward, or was it the other one?
Huh?
Wait. Never mind. Continue.
And so I feel like people that are not directly involved in the war, they don't think about these specific experiences that soldiers see, how their friends or like not even friends, but other people die just in general every single day. How traumatic is it? Um, so for them, it's more heroism. Like what is that? The
Heroism.
question was
It was
Heroism.
more. It was based on like whether they're fearless warriors or like how would you idolize them.
I feel like sometimes they think about war as like some kind of video game, like we won, that's amazing, or we're losing, how can we? Because in the video game, nobody actually dies.
And then you could definitely try again with more teenagers.
And you can definitely try again. In my opinion, they think this way because they again don't see the experience from the the actual experience.
Yeah, it's only if you run out of like people to like actually like go onto the battlefield.
Yeah, and we also like think about like, oh, it's the First World War, and like this is like their first time fighting. And they're just gonna go in, like not thinking much of it, kind of, right? But like as like the experience go on and all that.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, I'll go to the next question. Sorry. Why do characters in the novel come across as selfish and emotionless? Is this a mental effect of being at war?
I feel like it is because if you see people die every day, eventually you're getting cold, and you don't react as bad as I feel like soldiers react really badly when they see their like first people die in their eyes, but after that they get used to it. And I feel like it shows a lot when in the novel when Paul helps the newcomers, they have completely different reaction from the soldiers that already have been on the Western Front for a while. If you remember, I'm pretty sure Paul and his friends were actually laughing about newcomers. It's like they're naive, something like that.
I didn't know what's gonna happen or what's gonna be coming for them.
And we also think they're also teens too. Like they just like got out of school, they're young, they're like ignorant, all that.
Like what you said, Christina, like they think it's all a game. Like, you know what? We could just like have fun with it, you know? We're gonna win the war, of course. Like there's no way we're gonna like die or anything like that. Like them. Wait, I was gonna go off what you were gonna say.
I feel like just people when they just graduated high school because they're so young. I feel like when they're going to the war, and just in general, young people tend to think that they're immortal. It feels that way because nothing hurts really much. They don't have any health problems. But
Yeah, like I'm branching this off to something else, but like how little kids, they don't understand how to control, like I have a younger brother, of course, and he bites me, and you just understand like how hard he needs to bite me in order for me to not feel pain. And it does hurt. I don't bite him at full force, but he bites me at full force, and I'm like, ow, like this hurts. It's not a good idea. Like you think you're immortal because I'm like not even biting you at my fullest. But like bite back. I'm not biting him for no reason. But it's crazy how like after seeing so many people die in front of you in so many different ways, you gotta like get used to it at that point. Like, man, you gotta watch your best friend die. You gotta watch your like could be your uncle or someone else that is your family member be on the battlefront with you. It's just terrible.
There's also like a moment in the book, you know, like I guess you say like character development or like doesn't show selfishness is like, or like who's the guy who lost his leg? Kemerich?
Oh, Kemerich, yeah.
Yeah, like and Paul tells him like it's gonna be okay, like he stays by him and all that.
Yeah, and it sucks too, cause like, oh sorry, go on. You wanna go on?
I was like that's like a development of like him not being selfish anymore and all that.
I don't know, I was gonna say that it sucks too, cause like he had to watch his friend die, cause like doctors had to choose other people over Kemerich. And it's like so sucky.
Oh my God. That was the previous question, but was that the word tends to make people emotionless, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember the moment? It just reminded me of the moment when Paul was describing the situation when he was sitting with Kemerich, and it was already obvious that Kemerich is gonna die because he was extremely thin. He was describing that his skeleton already could be visible, and he said that there was even one man that was checking Kemerich for the reason that, well, the guy already looks almost dead, so there will be a free bet. There will be a free bet for the other soldier.
That sucks, dude. Like, they literally just like, okay, we'll just give you food, and then hopefully you might live, you might be dead. Who cares? You're gonna die. Most likely die.
Like in not wartime, it will be honestly it would be outrageous. Like thinking that the person is waiting for somebody to die in order to free the bat. But I feel like they just already again got used to this. They already got used to this, and people in critical situation they tend to think about themselves first of all. Well, that's an instinct, and I feel like sympathy is decreasing, and empathy is decreasing during the war.
Do you guys think that like countries would believe that this much people would die based off of a war?
What again?
Do you think like countries would think that like, oh, there's not that much people is gonna die because we like declared a war? Cause like
I feel like they always think it that way because they're not directly involved into that. I feel like they're like, oh, well, it's like 10,000 people. That's not that much, but we know that if you're gonna put like 10,000 people in one room, it's gonna be like
a lot of people.
It's gonna be completely full. Like in the gym, it will be completely full with no free space. And governments definitely don't think about it this way. They think like 10,000 people.
It's uncomparable to like 60 million people. Like, what the heck? 10,000 people? Who cares? Like, it's crazy because like from the first chapter, or was it the first or was it the second? No, it was from the first chapter, where they had food and everything prepared for like 150 people, but then like half of them like were dead. Half of them were dead.
Yeah, the chef didn't want to serve the rest of the food to them, like the extra food to them.
And the lieutenant came. Yeah, the lieutenant came like, hey, yo, just give it to them. Like, let them have seconds. Like, they're already like traumatized enough.
I feel like the cook was the example of the person that. Wait a second, let me fix it.
It's like thinking about themselves. You're trying to say, like.
No. I want to say that. The cook was the example of the person that is not does not how do you say that
exposed exposed.
He does not participate directly into the in the war.
Yeah, he's not exposed to like the tragedies.
Not exposed. That's why his reaction was different compared to the soldiers. So the soldiers, Paul and his entire group was just happy that they're gonna get more food. They didn't even think about those soldiers that died. The commander Cat even joked that when the cook asked where's the rest of the people, Commander Cat joked that they're not gonna be eating today here. They're either gonna be eating at a hospital or at the cemetery. And I was like, okay, like they already got used to it. They used the dark humor with it. That
Like, oh, they're already dead, so like, well.
and the cook is the one that is shocked because he cooked for what 150 people and only 80 people showed up.
It's like insane. If like half of like what a squadron had died already, like a huge squadron died already, like how many people have died into the front? That's my question now. Like
He even refused to believe that many people
crazy.
died. He didn't want to give them the food at first. He was like, "No, I'm not gonna give you a food for 150 people. There's only 80 people. Doesn't make sense." And I'm like,
like if
because 150 and 80 people, it's like almost half of them died.
Yeah. When I first read it, I thought it was more of like the chef like honoring the dead soldiers, but I don't know. It's like if that makes sense, like he's honoring like the deaths.
so, you know, like no, he's showing like like courtesy. Like, you know what, these guys gotta eat too, you know? You can't like all eat twice the meals, you know?
Yeah.
I can hand off twice the tobaccos to you guys. Like, that's crazy. You guys gotta be lit. Alright, you guys want to ask the next question? I think we're done with this topic.
I think
Thinking right now. We'll see. I honestly, when I was reading the part when Kermit was dying, I was a little bit disgusted by Miller's behavior when he was like, "Oh, can I get the boots? Can I get the boots?"
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Come on. And I was like,
Like,
what?
they're a perfect fit. They're a perfect fit.
A perfect fit. And the guy's still alive and he's already saying this. Like,
Like,
I was like, you could like not say it out loud or like wait
show
a
us some
little bit.
respect, man. Like, please just tell me, like, after I die.
And then Paul described that Mueller is just very rational, and I honestly found it because remember Mueller is like a nerd in the company because he was still studying physics, repeating physics in hope of getting a high school diploma after the war. And Paul described that he is very rational, but in this case, I was like, I was really outraged by his behavior.
Well, it's like using resources efficiently, I'd say. That's all you can say.
Efficiently, but it's like I feel like you could feel like some kind of
Yeah, going back to like the part about like deaths being emotionless, like he just took it into that way. Like, you know what, you're like, buddy, you're not gonna be using it. You already have one foot missing. Like, there's no way you're gonna use like one boot, are you? I'm gonna take.
yeah.
I'm gonna take 'em.
Do you think he took away the boots to like so like the soldiers wouldn't grieve like that long or something? Do you think that's why like he tried taking it? Or, like
I feel like he actually did it for his personal benefit
Yeah,
because
he's-
Paul was describing that shoes were getting completely like a complete crap. And remember that it's Germany. They have a pretty rush climate.
And you also gotta think about like how all the like uniforms and stuff had just been reused by soldiers that died already.
oh yeah, that's true.
It's like their uniforms are all worn out and everything. And since Mueller found out that like Kermit is like boots are like actually perfect for him, he's like, oh, I'm actually gonna take these. You know, these like perfect for me. I'm gonna like do something in them without having like any like blisters on my feet.
You know, I actually thought that actually thought that Mueller, by taking his boots and not thinking about Kemmerich, he was kind of calming himself down. Like he was this way. He wasn't. He was trying not to traumatize himself too, because that much, because he was his classmate again. They knew him for a long time, and like in my opinion, if he would think about the boots rather than Kemmerich, he could like avoid the thoughts of the death of his one of his classmates.
It's like, yeah, you want to like throw your mind on something else when like something bad is gonna happen too. Like, you don't want it to be like so painful, but like not completely sugar coated. Like you have it acknowledged that he's gonna die, but like, man, there's no escape from it.
What do you think about the teacher from high school, Kantarek? Did he actually, when he was telling Paul and his friends and his classmates to go to the war because it's like heroic act, do you think Kantarek actually believed that? Or do you think he was just or basically used them for the government?
I say it's like a little bit. I say it's more of him believing it, cause like what the government's spreading propaganda everywhere about like, yo, you should go to the war. You're gonna fight for your country, and we're gonna win if you join, right? And I'm probably sure he's like, oh, okay. So if I like enforce this and like let more of my students go into it, like, you know what, they're gonna fight for our country, and we're gonna win no matter what, cause we're like number one. That's all like all countries say.
Like after like their weeks of training and all that, they do realize that like the ideas of the nationalism and patriotism is just like cliches, you know, like empty cliches. It's just like they're just fighting for like, because they want like the higher ups just want power.
Yeah, they want more power and they want more land. That's what they're all fighting for. If we look at this in an economic standpoint, they're fighting for resources. That's all they're fighting for. That's why wars start. Like if we allowed free trade and stuff like that, looking at this economically, they wouldn't have wars at all if they like agreed on something. But
again about the commander Himmelstosh.
Yeah.
Do you think when I'm pretty sure he wasn't acting like when he didn't have that much power when he was a postman, he wasn't acting like as disgusting and as when he became the actual commander in the army. Because you remember the case when Paul's friends, I don't remember who, but Paul's friend was winning the bet.
oh, Jaden. That's like Jaden. How do you like pronounce it? It starts with a T.
T to Jaden.
Yeah. The second one is
To Jaden.
what is that? I'm not sure how to pronounce it correctly, but because it's German.
It's Jaden. I don't know. I'm just gonna say Jaden. Jaden sounds like about right. Jaden.
Oh my god.
Just at the J and the A-D-E-N.
So the point is, he was waiting the bed, and Himmelstus decided to
Pair him up.
him because it was like double bed, like
Yeah,
this.
bunk
So he
beds.
decided to take two people that was waiting the beds, and not because they were doing it purposely, but because some either mental or physical issues that they clearly had, and he decided to punish them that way to. Like one of them would always sleep on the top, would basically wet the person that was sleeping in the bottom.
Yeah, and then eventually, like, Jaden just started sleeping off of the bed. He just slept on the floor at one point.
And I thought it was really dumb and a cruel way to disappoint guys. Do you think people like Commander, like their commander, Himmelstas, show their real faces, like when they're given power?
honestly, when you're given power, you kind of just like it depends on people. They like become like greedy and like get like blinded with it. Like they're like, oh, I could do basically whatever I want with it, like right? Like I could just like force these two guys to sleep on top of a bunk bed or each other and stuff like that. Cause like you know what, I'm a commander. Like you guys can't tell me what I can or can do. If I tell you guys to run, you guys run. Basically.
I was gonna say like if you like give the power to the wrong person, like it can like lead to bad things. Like the way you lead. And I was gonna say like maybe he did act different like before all that he became a commander and all that.
Yeah.
Or maybe he was trying to tough to them, but it was like it was really cruel the way he did it.
I feel like when I was reading this, he was kind of enjoying this though.
Yeah, he's just playing with them. He's just playing with them because like he got nothing else to do. Like he's just sitting around, being protected while they're all basically risking their lives. And he's like, oh, like well, I got nothing else to do. Like why don't I just have these guys like go pee on each other? That'd be entertaining.
Yeah, he would like how they make their bed like multiple times a day, shoveling snow.
Oh, exactly. Cause like what Paul, yeah, what you said about fixing the beds and everything. Helmsloth would just mess up the bed and like make Paul fix it again because he didn't like it.
He also like made them stay outside like without gloves and all that.
Exactly.
And, like the cold.
Do you think if Paul, instead a person like Paul with the same personality and morals would become a commander, would it be different?
Maybe. I feel like he's also kind of too nice. But I don't know.
Yeah, I would say he's a little bit too kind-hearted. I feel like if in order to be a commander, you gotta be like directly in the middle. You can't be like too blinded by power, but yet again, you can't be like too like lighthearted and not hard on people, because you need to like actually toughen people up in order to like be on the battlefront. Otherwise, they're not gonna be expecting any of the deaths and everything. Like what Paul said that Helmsloth actually did kind of prepare them, because all the training that like all the torture and everything that he did to them, like they kind of like expect like some grief.
Like that when they were at battlefield, honestly, they would think, yeah, at least I'm not at with this commander. I feel like it just like particularly him, honestly, and he made it like a living hell.
I know I'm on the battlefront now. I don't need to worry about this guy telling me like sleep.
Yeah, I think the way he acts is because like of the war too. You know, like I feel like he lost himself in a way. Maybe.
Alright. You guys want to ask like one more question?
Like war has made.
Oh.
You want to ask Austin?
Austin, did you ask one more question? It's like we're at the 30 minute.
I was like wanted to talk about like maybe like Paul's character throughout the book. Maybe.
We can talk about that. Well, obviously Paul's
Maybe
character.
like his character development, like that led to his death too. We can talk about.
Can you repeat the question again?
We could. I was gonna say like we could talk about Paul's death, or, like what led to his death, and like his character development throughout the book.
Well, Paul. You wanna talk about it, Christina? You're talking about how Paul, the difference between Paul and Maria, like the actual author and the soldier inside the story. You wanna talk about that?
My red part, well, his original name was Eric Paul Remarque, and I feel like in my opinion, by writing this novel, it's a little bit based on him. I feel like some details were changed, but not a lot of them. And I feel like this way, Eric Remarque was trying to cope with his trauma, and well, he was trying to like basically say goodbye to it at some point, to let it go basically, by killing his character Paul, because it's I feel like Paul was like part of him, it was a huge part of him, being naive, young, and after that, after the war, some part died. Some part died inside of him, I feel like, and he decided that this part of him was Paul. I don't know. I feel like that might be the. I think he took his. He changed his second name because of his mom's death too, but I feel like he also changed it to like say goodbye to part of him that got completely destroyed during the war. In my opinion.
Alright. Well, is that it? I got nothing else to say.
Let's see, has the brutality of war completely stripped away Paul's humanity, or does he retain to his old self?
Wait, can you say that louder?
Let's see, has the brutality of war completely stripped away Paul's humanity, or has he retained to his old self? Like, has his
I
feelings
feel
go
like he
away,
just
or-
returned to his old self. Like something has been lost, but still he stayed more or less as a human being, because it was showing a lot during times like with the French soldier when he was stabbing him with a knife and then realizing that what he actually did and tried to help him, or with Russian prisoners when he actually gave them some food and tobacco. Like he definitely, I feel like Paul as a character had something humane in him until his very death.
Yeah, exactly. Cause like, sorry. You wanna go on?
Continue.
Oh, I was gonna say like how like Paul killed the French soldier. Like it's either you kill or you get killed, basically. At that point, like he became like human when he like actually took it in. Like, wow, I just killed this guy who had like a wife and a child. That sucks. And you can't take his life back. Like you can't give it back to him. He took his life.
Like you
I
said,
just wanted to say that Paul still stayed as a still more he stayed as more humane, even compared to some of his friends. Because again, remember Mueller and the situation with Boots. He was always like caring too much about themselves. And during the war, a lot of people do it. Majority of people do this. I feel like Paul is an exception, actually. I feel like majority of soldiers care about themselves first of all, their own well-being and their own lives, which is normal. I feel like there is something exceptional about Paul, is that he didn't lose his this part of him. He didn't lose the human inside of him, I would say. The kind, good part of him.
He like retained it and brought it back to himself.
yeah. I was gonna add on like, I think like Kemerich's death is a good example because the only way to survive in the war is to like forget all your feelings and like put like death past you. But he's like too kind. Like he stayed with him, tried to comfort him.
Yeah, by the way, I didn't see any of his friends doing the same thing. I think he was the only one that was
Yeah.
trying to come back.
He was the only one like being human out of all of them.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah, continue.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, did you guys like the ending of the book?
I feel like he did what Christina said. It's time for him to like basically let go of like all this tragedies that happened. Like,
Yeah, that's why I feel like he killed his character.
cause like what, all this stuff needs to like finally be gone. Like I don't need to think about this and stuff like that. But like that, it already happened. There's no way I could bring it back. I took this soldier's life. I've seen all these terrible things happen to like many of these people. Like, I can't hold this burden, basically.
It definitely felt sad that Paul, the main character, died at the very end of the book, but at the same time, if he would live, that would be some kind of cliche, in my opinion, because the
Yeah.
main character always survives somehow in this kind of books and or movies. And here you actually could feel the pain is that the character that you were following throughout the book that was talking about his conditions, his life during the war, like dies at the very end, and you're like, what?
Like, damn, what the heck? That's not.
Right.
What the heck?
Yeah, that,
It's
you actually
unexpected.
you're getting used to Paul, and at some point when you read the book, you can feel like he's the person that you know, like maybe like some kind of a little bit of a friend. Uh, and then when he dies, it's definitely like a really good hit in your face, slap in your face, I would say. But unfortunately, it somehow shows the war because people that survived, it's like usually extremely lucky, and unfortunately, people pay attention more to people who actually came back from the war and not the ones that actually gave their lives there.
Okay. Alright, can we wrap it up? Because like my hand is tired now. It's been 40 minutes.
Okay, you can.
Alright.
Say, like,
Alright.
I think it also symbolizes like that no one ever really went to war. Like, yeah, there's always be like a winner technically, but like at the end, it's good. Like, there's always like something bad, like the effect.
It's like there's a bunch of consequences of starting a war in the first place. Alright. Well, that's it. That's all I have to say. Are you guys done? You guys done? All good?
Yeah,
Alright, alright.